Hello and welcome, bookworms. Welcome to this week's episode of The Content Narrative. This is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. And this is the other book that I've picked up, thoroughly enjoyed, devoured, loved, and then turned around and it turns out that this is the first in like a trilogy and the second one isn't out yet. Oh, it's so annoying. But anyway, very good book. So essentially what's happening in this is after 24 years, the Emperor sort of like naturally turns around and goes, okay, I'm going to give up the throne. And there's a competition held where warriors, competitors from each area, like the monkey, the fox, the raven, the bear, can't remember all 12 off the top of my head, but they compete to try and find the dragon's one of them. They compete and there's like 12 houses and they compete to try and basically whoever wins gets the throne. But then as they're sort of like gearing up for the competition and everything, one of them is murdered. So then Nima, who's sort of like a little bit of a lonely outcast, she's tasked with trying to find out who the killer is, but then she's also put forward as the Raven Scholars champion. And it was just so good. The characters were amazing. Like, there's little hints throughout the book that when you get to the ending, you're like, oh, that makes sense. And I love that because it didn't feel overly in your face. It feels like one of those where it's like you're building up this picture without even realizing. And then you get to the end and then it's all revealed and you're like, oh, no way. But again, it's the first in a trilogy. It is a huge cliffhanger. Trust me when I say, like, if you are not prepared to wait for the next book and you're one of those, just don't read this book yet. But I would say still put it on your to-read list, but just don't read it yet. Because my God, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Like, the characters were really good. Nima was fantastic. I love the fact that, you know, she doesn't want to compete for the crown. And then there's a point where she's like, actually, do you know what? I wouldn't be half bad. Then she's got like the Raven. So obviously each of them have their own guardians and the Raven is like speaking through her to be like, you need to avoid this, like this vision where like, if this person wins, everything's going to burn down to the ground. And then when the vision comes to pass, you're like, oh, that's so clever. That's so clever. And I'm not going to say why, but it was so clever. And honestly, I was hooked. I could not put it down. Like, I took it to work. It's like over 600 pages long, but I was constantly like, what happens next? What happens next? Like, I try not to bring big books to work with me just because of the weight in the bag. But I literally was just like, I can't put this down. I need to find out the next episode. All right, I need to find out the next. And it's like when you binge watch a series, you're like, I can't go to bed. I can't do this until I know. And so I was determined. I think I'd done it in about a week. It was so good. But I was not disappointed with any of the characters. I was not disappointed with any of the plot. I just wish that it wasn't a trilogy. Or if it was a trilogy, I wish I'd never found it until the third book was out. But I'll have to stick with it. That's fine. You know, at least I've got plenty of time to work on my own to read pile before I then jump into the next one. But I would definitely 100% recommend this because I loved it. I loved every second of it. And I think it is a very, very good book with very, very good potential. So I do hope, if you're out there, Antonia Hodgson, I do hope that your trilogy, because I do find sometimes with trilogies, the first one's phenomenal, second one's okay, and the third one's a bit of a letdown. I hope that you stick with it, and I hope that we get just as good a second book and a third book. But let me know below in the comments about what you think. Let me know if it is something that you like. Let me know if you like reading when you know that the next one's not out yet. Thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you for all the times that you come back to this channel. Thank you to all the subscribers. I'm almost at 500. But just remember, always keep it contento.